Welcome to Focus on Why. I'm Amy Rowlinson, your host. Join me to explore the compelling stories, profound insights, and captivating experiences shared by my guests from all over the world. Focusing on the importance of why these relatable, uplifting, and inspiring conversations will empower, motivate, and guide you to create your own purposeful way of life. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Do you truly understand the power of a focus on why in business? Are your employees fully engaged? Do they consider their work meaningful? Or does your organisation have purpose gaps? Focusing on key areas of employee engagement, contribution, fulfilment, well-being and purpose, all of which have proven links to increased productivity and profitability, I deliver inspiring, mesmerising and captivating talks and workshops providing clear, actionable steps to take. To discuss your specific business needs, reach out to me via the link in the show notes and together we can plug those purpose gaps. Hello and welcome to episode 429, this being my 69th Reflections with Actions solo episode. And today I will be reflecting on the last 5 episodes with my guests. Well, since we last spoke, a lot has happened. It's been a busy yet very fulfilling time. We said goodbye, my husband and I, to Eddie as he headed back for another year at university. So we once again have an empty nest. But on the bright side, I have recently celebrated 400 days sober. I've been staying very active. I ran the Friday Night Live 6 kilometre, which started at Tower Bridge and twisted around the streets of London across to St Paul's and then back again. I did that with a friend. It was brilliant. Really highly recommend that. If you live in London, Friday Night Live is so much fun. Music and lights and a great community who is absolutely focused on leaving not a single person behind. So yes, brilliant way to run the streets of London. And then I've also been participating in more park run tourism up in Edinburgh and in Warwick. I've been busy with coaching sessions, both personal and business purpose coaching. And I've also been up to Stratford-upon-Avon because I was asked to be a one of many Be Fulfilled retreat table mentor, where I had the opportunity to provide women with some brilliant laser coaching on the topic of purpose and help them to really understand the difference between purpose and why, and to get some clarity about what it is that they stand for and what they want to achieve in creating their purposeful ways of life. So very exciting that was. And on top of that, I've been hosting podcast mentoring and accountability sessions. We've been preparing to sell the house. So I've been busy painting all of the rooms and giving it a really good fresh look. And we've then since had estate agents rounds for valuations, and it will go on the market soon. So scary. New home beckons. I've also been doing TikTok videos and been getting my promotional bits ready to support my book launch. And for the first time ever, I've volunteered to be a poppy seller for the Royal British Legion, which on the 31st of October will be celebrating the London Poppy Day. I'm so excited. I'm going to be based at London Bridge. So if you are around on the 31st of October, please come and find me at London Bridge and buy a poppy from me. There'll be lots of different poppies to choose from. It's a great charity supporting all the families and members of the armed forces. So please do give a moment of remembrance for all of those who have served for us. I recently took a trip up to Edinburgh, as I mentioned, I did do a park run, but that wasn't why I was going all the way up there. With my school friends, we went up to celebrate our 50th birthday, which between us, they span across a whole year. So what we did is we chose a weekend and we all went together and spent a fabulous weekend up in Edinburgh together. It really was awesome. I've also attended a few conferences, the MD to MD conference and the Professional Speaking Association conference. And I've also been recording podcasts, not just my podcast, Focus on Why, but also as a guest. I've been invited on lots of podcasts to talk about my upcoming book. Did you know I've got a book coming? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're pretty sick of it. But it really has been a fantastic opportunity to share some different stories. And I've been very mindful to share different moments with each of these podcasts, that they've all got something more unique to share. I have also recorded the audiobook for the book, and that went really, really well. In fact, I think it sounds even better than I imagined it would do. You know what it's like listening back to yourself. It's never easy. But anyway, it's all uploaded and ready to go. The book has finally been published, although still not yet released to the public yet. That is on the 24th of October. And my publisher is currently at the Frankfurt Book Fair, speaking to distributors all around the world. And I'm just going to reflect on that for a moment. I mean, I wonder, what do you think my grandfather George would say if when he started writing that journal aged 20, he were to know that the words that he was writing in that journal 80 years ago, while being held captive in German World War II prisoner of war camps, that they would somehow be included in a book that he co-authored from beyond the grave with his yet-to-be granddaughter. For that journal to then make it back out of the prison camps, to come back to England, to then out-survive him, and for parts of that journal to now find themselves transported all of the way back to Germany, contained within this book, and now be sitting on a bookshelf at a trade book fair in Germany for publishers and book distributors to pick it up and read. And then for those distributors to then strike a deal to translate those words that he wrote more than 80 years ago into other languages for other people across other countries to then read them. I don't know about you, but that totally blows my mind. It just is so crazy. Oh, anyway, back to my update. On the family side, I have visited my mother-in-law and my mum, which was lovely. And also my mum gave me an early birthday gift. I'm 50 in November, and this gift blew me away. It was my grandfather's christening cup, which she'd had engraved. It's already on one side got his date of birth on it, but on the other side, she'd had this beautiful phrase, George and Amy shining together, engraved. How incredible is that? Honestly, I've been quite tearful this month. There's been a lot of very incredible moments, very thoughtful moments that have happened. And inside, she just printed off a little snippet of the book and just a few words saying that George's presence had been his greatest gift to me, because that's something that I wrote in the book. Offering your undivided attention, for me, is the most valuable gift you can give to others or even to yourself. In fact, I believe that listening is your greatest contribution. So let's give that a go and listen to what reflections with actions I'm sharing with you today. First up is episode 424, Changing the Demand with Sue Ellar. Are you ready to transform your health and embark on a journey toward a more healthier, purposeful life? Health, vitality and weight loss coach Sue Ellar shares her journey from struggling with weight and chronic ailments to thriving with energy through proper nutrition. In this episode, you'll learn what natural, unprocessed foods can do for you and how to break free from misleading industry practices. Sue is on a mission to empower the next generation with healthy eating habits. However, to achieve that, she needs your help. Sue believes that people are confused about what they can eat and what's healthy and what's not. And this mission that she's on to change the food industry, she believes is the only way that by changing the demand is going to change how the big corporations are producing the food that are put on the shelves. And it's about understanding what this food freedom will mean for you. And it's more than just a concept, it's a complete lifestyle. And she defines this freedom as not merely being a state of being, but as embodying confidence, physical wellness, and the liberty to pursue the desired activities that you want. And this is how she highlights the proper nutrition can absolutely liberate people from the chronic ailments, because she's experienced this, such as digestive issues and joint pain. And her personal journey, marked by a transformational discovery in her late 40s, has absolutely drastically improved her health and her energy levels. And this totally underscores her message. So passionately critiquing the food industry's misleading practices and processed food pitfalls, she's emphasising the importance of transparency and demanding a healthier, more honest food options for all of us. The conversation explores how natural, unprocessed foods really reset the body's natural appetite and can promote significant health benefits. And both Sue and I discuss our own personal strategies of how we avoid processed foods and advocate for a diet based on whole natural foods. Additionally, Sue's dedicated to really empowering the next generation by instilling healthy eating habits in teenagers. And she believes that by educating the young, that we can create this ripple effect of positive change for future generations. It really is a powerful call to action for individuals to take responsibility for their health by making conscientious dietary choices. And this is where I come in, because I watched an episode of the Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones with Dan Buettner. And in episode 3, he's at one of the 5 unique communities around the world where people live extraordinarily long and vibrant lives. And he's speaking to one of these centenarians and asking him if he were to give advice to his great-grandson as to how to get to 100 years old, what would he advise? And his response was, I hope he eats what I eat. Dan Buettner, the host of this show and author of the Blue Zones book, turns to ask the granddaughter if she believes that her son will eat the same diet as her grandfather. And she explained, no, because everything's different now with lots of processed food. She agreed that rice, eggs and beans would be better for her son, but shared that he wasn't interested in eating the same healthy diet as her grandfather. He didn't like to eat beans and instead had a preference to eat cereal and cookies. And the next scene shows the young boy offering his great-grandfather a pretzel from a packet. And his great-grandfather reluctantly but graciously accepts one. He said, I'll try one. And I just thought that was just such a heartbreaking scene, because here we are in this incredible blue zone with an incredible diet that has been seen to give longevity and a great vibrancy to these people. And unfortunately, this knowledge is not being passed down the generations. It's stopping at this point. And I don't think this is an isolated case. This is going to be the case where these magical blue zones are going to disappear. And this is exactly the situation that Sue Ellar is referring to in her episode. And I too believe that we do hold this responsibility to ensure that the generations growing up are educated with what will sustain them to live a full and healthy life. And this delegation of responsibility to children who are dictating what they want to eat because of the marketing and advertising from the food industry is not going to serve anyone long term. Have you seen the end of that film from 2008? It was the animated science fiction Pixar film WALL-E. I don't know if you say WALL-E like that, but that ending should be enough alone to dissuade anyone to pursue this diet of processed food. It is so disappointing to see the neglect of a proven nutritious diet over the desire for one filled with sugar, salt, and processed foods. Do you need to remind yourself of the power that you hold, not only for yourself, but for your children or for the next generation? Every bite you take, every choice you make, not only shapes your health, but it also sends a powerful message to the food industry. And by embodying confidence through your choices, focusing on nurturing your physical health and pursuing activities that bring you joy, you can achieve this freedom, this true freedom. And I really urge you to make a commitment today, not just to your own health, but to the health of future generations. It's not just about living longer, but living better and taking charge of your nutrition, empowering the young, and demanding this transparency and truthfulness. That is how we will change the future of the food industry. Next up is episode 425, What Do You Stand For? With Heather Townsend. What's your North Star? What are you here to deliver? What is your purpose? What do you stand for? Use that to anchor yourself, and everything else becomes easier after that. These are the questions that executive coach, facilitator, business consultant, author, and local counsellor Heather Townsend asked in this episode. And she used them as an opportunity to also take a reflective pause for herself, to examine her life's purpose in navigating the various transitions that she's currently facing. As her children embark on new journeys, Heather found herself contemplating her evolving roles and responsibilities, from family to community commitments. Stressing the importance of understanding your why in business and personal growth, the significance of managing emotions, and the application of Stoic principles in the workplace, Heather shared how her core values drive all her actions, revealing insights on conflict management and how to leverage mature responses to preserve energy for what truly matters. Essentially, Heather's focus is on the answer to this one question: what do you stand for? Focus on that North Star, whatever you stand for. Put that at the centre. Then it's about making friends with the highs and lows and learning from that rather than fearing. We always fear the lows, but let's see it as either you win or you learn. That's what Heather said. So let me ask you that question. What do you stand for? Do you know the answer? Perhaps knowing or focusing on your values will help. Values are abstract concepts. They're things you can't put in a shopping trolley, like autonomy, beauty, courage, freedom, justice, love, and wisdom. Although, what a wonderful shop that would be. And your values define what you stand for and how you relate to the world through reflection and action. Mine are brilliance, connectedness, diversity, fun, and growth. And eliciting values is one of the most powerful exercises that I use with my coaching clients. It is a process best done when facilitated by a coach, but one way to elicit your own values is by simply tuning into the news. Observe the stories, topics, or issues that provoke strong emotional reactions. These core emotions and feelings provide valuable clues to the meanings behind what matters most to you. Pay attention to your reactions to instances of injustice. Reflect on what inspires you to effect change. Feelings such as frustration, concern, determination, discomfort, anger, or sadness may signal that a value of integrity, justice, fairness, authenticity, or compassion has been compromised. Global challenges, such as those identified in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, may embody values such as solidarity, interconnectedness, environmental stewardship, or human rights. News evoking inspiration, hope, or joy could reveal underlying values of connection, love, or freedom. By identifying your interests and concerns, you surface the core values that shape your beliefs, inform your opinions, and motivate you to take action. Values provide the framework for establishing personal boundaries, guiding what's acceptable and what's not across all areas of life. Living in alignment with your values creates fulfillment, liberation, and inspiration, empowering you to spot more opportunities, to make wise decisions and informed choices. By creating meaningful, purposeful, and innovative work that resonates with your values, you can tap into your potential more readily to achieve your aspirations. Align your work with your values to become valued for your work. In contrast, living in opposition to your core values can cause internal conflict or inconsistent outcomes. So if you're exhausted, frustrated, or overwhelmed and you find your work lacks fulfillment, it's probable that your endeavours are incongruent with your values. Together with your purpose, your values serve as your inner compass, keeping you on track towards what holds genuine significance. Rather than adhering to perceived expectations, ensure that every choice and decision you make aligns with your values and desires. I recently had the opportunity to help my daughter understand her values, and I spoke about that on an episode of Jane Gunn's podcast, The Barefoot Mediator, in an episode called Tap Into the Tingle. It was actually quite emotional listening back to what I'd shared with Jane about going through the exercise with Holly because of what Holly said to me afterwards once she'd identified her values and how that was going to unlock her decision making and choices and filter everything that she was going to do with a more conscious perspective. And utilizing self-reflection to understand your values, purpose, and direction really helps you to navigate transitions smoothly, to filter these choices and decisions efficiently, and to create a purposeful way of life. So knowing your values really does help you unlock so much of the emotional significance behind your intrinsic motivation. Heather spoke a lot about emotions in her episode, specifically how to manage emotions to enhance her decision making and in relationships, and to avoid unnecessary conflicts by adopting a stoic approach, which will improve her leadership effectiveness, particularly in high stress environments. A couple of weeks ago, I had a peer mentoring session with Bob Bradley, and he shared with me that what I'd just articulated to him about my book in our conversation had been really impactful, inspiring and relatable, and better than what I had written on my website. So he challenged me to produce a series of TikTok videos to explain the work I do and how I help people through purpose and to help them with their purpose. So until the 24th of September, I had not posted a single video on TikTok. Well, that's all changed because while on my lunchtime dog walk, strolling around the block, it dawned on me that the 24th of September was literally an exact month away from the 24th of October when I was going to launch my book. So I whipped out my phone and pressed record and just started talking. 9 minutes later, in just one take, I'd recorded an explanation of what I'd overcome to get my book over the line in order to be released on the date of the 24th of October. And I shared how I overcame the imposter syndrome, self-doubt, and became much more comfortable with feeling vulnerable. And videoing proved that. So adding the closed captions, I posted that video on TikTok. You can watch it, the link's in the show notes, and across other social media platforms. And the feedback that I have received from people has been both reassuring and encouraging. Because in being relatable and authentic, people said that they felt that they were walking right alongside me. How do you show up on social media? Are you being relatable? Are you being authentic? Do people respect what you're saying? How could you be more relatable, meaningful, and authentic in your interactions on social media and just socially? The week that Heather's episode went live coincided with flash flooding in the area she lives in and that she's a counsellor for, and proved really challenging for her and her fellow residents. The extreme flooding affected the whole community. Heather shared a video on social media, which was picked up in an article on BBC News, and you can watch that link, it's in the show notes. Why was it so popular? Why did it resonate with people? Why did it go viral? It was because Heather was incredibly authentic, relatable and emotional. She was respected for her integrity. Her emotional connection really resonated with the audience. Why? Because she stood for what she believed in. She knows what she stands for. Do you? Next up is episode 426, Strength and Fortitude with Paul Ribbons. My goodness, hold on to your hats. This episode is a bit of a roller coaster of emotion. Actually, it does need to come with a content and trigger warning because in this podcast conversation, Paul talks about suicide. So if you would like to avoid this section of the episode, for his episode, not this one, you need to stop listening between 30 minutes and 14 seconds and restart it from 45 minutes and 54 seconds. That's for episode 426, Strength and Fortitude. What does having true freedom mean in today's world? We spoke about it in connection with food earlier with Sue Ellar, and I'm going to bring that back in again now. How can overcoming life's hardships and injustices shape your destiny? Property trader, author, speaker, and tech entrepreneur Paul Ribbons shares his incredible journey from losing his mother at the age of 3 and enduring a troubled childhood to building a successful career in property. Paul reflects on the invaluable lessons he's learned about mental health advocacy and the importance of speaking out. After the death of his daughter, Paul is now rebuilding his life, focusing on hope, resilience, and freedom. Through his own pain, Paul's found purpose in helping others to navigate life's darkest moments. His story is one of deep understanding, strength, and fortitude. What struck me from this episode is the pivotal point at which Paul's path could have gone in a very different way, but it was as a direct result of one very brief conversation that his path, that he then chose to follow, brought him to where he finds himself today. What conversations have you had in life that you can identify as being a positive catalyst for setting you back or onto the right path? It's easy to drift off course, forget where you're heading, lose your North Star and drift aimlessly in all directions, or allow yourself to fall into living out other people's purposes and not your own. Paul was at a tipping point, or a crossroads. His turbulent upbringing had pushed him toward a path that he later realised was one of uncertainty and potential danger. And it was at this point that a police officer, during a casual yet impactful encounter, redirected Paul onto this path. He'd seen potential in Paul that Paul hadn't acknowledged in himself. The advice and encouragement from this police officer led him away from trouble and onto a journey of self-discovery and improvement. That experience taught him that his mindset, influenced by those around him and his interpretations of his experiences, can entirely change the course of his life. It prepared him to face future challenges with a stronger, more positive outlook. Aged 23, Paul embarked on a career in real estate, learning that understanding people and effective communication were integral to his success. And one of the most valuable lessons came from his relationship with his father, but indirectly through a lack versus an abundance. Amidst the complexity of human relationships and the seemingly insurmountable struggle to prove himself, Paul's father taught him the value of empathy through sadly not showing Paul any. This led to Paul truly desiring to understanding others to connect and communicate effectively. This insight was instrumental in navigating his career as an estate agent and later in his entrepreneurial ventures and through becoming a father himself. He understood that his role as an estate agent wasn't just about selling properties, it was about genuinely connecting with people, understanding their needs and finding ways to meet those needs. This understanding became a cornerstone for his career and personal interactions, driving success in areas that he'd not foreseen. Now, aged nearly 62, Paul reflects on this early career, the crucial role of effective communication, the profound influence of his challenging childhood marked by his mother's early death, and struggles with dyslexia, and candidly recounts pivotal moments, including the life-altering encounter with that police officer and the decision to pursue real estate against all odds. True freedom means living on your own terms, free from external control, especially in today's world, which is rife with manipulation and influence. Paul's insights urge you to reclaim your agency and live consciously. Freedom is a choice you make every day. When Paul spoke of his cycle ride to honour his daughter Zoe, he shared that it wasn't just a ride, it was a ritual of resilience and a tribute to her legacy. Every pedal stroke became a mantra of perseverance and a reminder that, even in the face of profound sorrow, you can find ways to push forward with strength and fortitude. Next up is episode 427, The Web of Life, with Manda Scott. Former veterinary surgeon turned author, columnist and podcaster Manda Scott explores the need for new narratives that challenge existing economic, cultural and environmental paradigms, perpetuating scarcity and powerlessness. Manda critiques current economic systems and advocates for serotonin-driven behaviours over dopamine-centric lifestyles, emphasising transformative corporate governance models and changes in media. Through a thrutopian lens, Manda promotes value-based systems prioritising stakeholder representation and environmental sustainability, calling for a shift from trauma-driven frameworks to an initiation culture that focuses on healing and connection. Manda urges us to consider the long-term impact of our actions for future generations and to reconnect to the web of life. This is another episode that has been playing on my mind ever since we recorded it way back in July, and one that I have brought into many conversations with people to create further ripple effects of reflection with action. In fact, I don't think a day has passed when I haven't considered the prospect of a future based on the thrutopian principles Manda shared. Have you heard of thrutopia? No, I hadn't either until Manda introduced me to the concept. Thrutopia bridges the gap between utopian dreams and dystopian fears, offering a realistic, hopeful vision for the future. It's not about imagining perfect worlds or fearing the worst of humanity. It's about charting a path from where we are now to a future we can be proud to pass on to the next generation and many more to come. It's about ensuring you're a good ancestor. We are story-driven beings, constantly imagining potential futures, but for those futures to become real, we need to take action. Thrutopia is about solving today's problems through achievable, inclusive solutions. A future where cities transition to green infrastructure, adopt local renewable energy systems, and shift toward a circular economy where waste is minimised, where governance becomes transparent, participatory, and healthcare shifts toward prevention with universal access. Education becomes personalised, accessible, and lifelong, while restorative justice and empathy building reshape social systems. With ethical technology focused on the common good, the digital divide can be closed, while smart cities and decentralised communities could help manage urbanisation sustainably. Thrutopia requires a purpose, a plan, and a strong focus on why. It is built on collaboration, equity, and sustainability. Thrutopian solutions create a future with progress built from practical, actionable steps. Envision your future, our future, through this Thrutopian lens. What future will you craft? What actions are you taking today to ensure that you're being a good ancestor? And in terms of my reflections with actions in response to listening to this episode, I think I could genuinely spend the rest of my lifetime carrying out those. In fact, I know I will, because there are so many threads that I would love to discuss here further and further in life. But what specifically should I drill down into with more detail right now today? I think it's exactly that, about being a good ancestor. What does that actually mean? I think it's about how I consider future generations and all the decisions and choices that I make in terms of how I enhance enduring societal and environmental well-being. It's about having a purpose filter that considers the future of people and planet. Yes, it's that. But delving deeper, what does that actually look like on a daily basis? I think being a good ancestor through using this Thrutopian lens means shaping a sustainable, unprejudiced future for generations to come. Unlike utopian ideals or dystopian fears, Thrutopia acknowledges the challenges that we face today, but focuses on navigating through them with positive, realistic action. So to be a good ancestor, you must think long term to make decisions that prioritise the well-being of future generations. And this does include sustainable stewardship of the planet, shifting away from daily harmful practices to foster ecosystems that will thrive. And building resilient, inclusive communities is key, where equity and empathy guide all of us in creating this fairer world. Taking part in reforestation projects, developing regenerative agricultural practices, creating technologies that don't exploit natural resources. So that means moving away from fossil fuels, advocating for renewable energy, supporting circular economies, minimising waste and maximising reuse. These are all vital acts of stewardship. And as a Thrutopian, you embrace innovation, but you balance it with care, ensuring that technological advancements improve life, but without compromising future well-being. Passing on not just knowledge, but ethical values is also crucial, teaching future generations the importance of responsibility, resilience, and interconnection. That's where I was talking about this diet that is sustainable and brilliant, that is now being lost. That is what we need to do to be a good ancestor, is to understand what works and carry it through and pass it on. Ultimately, contributing to the collective well-being is at the heart of Thrutopian thinking. Whether through environmental action, community building, or social justice efforts, being a good ancestor means making thoughtful choices that ensure a thriving planet and society for all those who come after us. Supporting policies that address wealth inequality, dismantling systems of oppression, and amplifying marginalised voices to create a fairer society for future generations. Encouraging local, self-sustaining economies, designing cities and communities to be climate resilient, fostering mental health as a communal priority are all steps towards ensuring future adaptability. Educating children on the importance of sustainability, storytelling that highlights moral responsibility to others and the environment, and creating institutions that reflect all these values. A good ancestor asks important questions about unintended consequences. supporting technological developments improve human life without causing harm to future generations, such as ethical AI development, genetic engineering with strict environmental considerations, or healthcare technologies that promote access over profit. Seeing yourself as a good ancestor means contributing to the common good, recognizing that individual actions affect the whole. Thrutopians see themselves or see ourselves as part of this interconnected web of life, of people and the planet. In a thrutopian future, I see how we each play a vital role in guiding the world toward a more hopeful, sustainable path. So if I am to be a good ancestor, I also need you to be one too. This is our collective responsibility that we each hold, and one that relies on our commitment today to carry through. Are you with me? Will you commit to being a good ancestor? The future of this planet depends on us making that commitment. For a more hopeful, grounded future, we need to ensure that the world we leave behind is more just, more sustainable, and in a better shape than it is right now. Be a good ancestor today to create a better world tomorrow. And my final reflection with action today is for episode 428, Workplace Mindfulness with Steve Ware. Is your mind constantly racing? In this episode, Steve shares his journey from skepticism to inner peace through mindfulness, creating lasting personal and workplace transformations. Steve offers practical tips for incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine without it feeling like a chore. He encourages you to have small moments of awareness of just 10 minutes a day, because this will reduce anxiety, improve your well-being, and foster a sense of peace. When Steve first encountered mindfulness, he also was a skeptic. Busy in his corporate role at IBM, the idea of sitting quietly with his thoughts seemed counterproductive. And this changed when a friend introduced him to the Headspace app. Reluctantly, he started dedicating just 10 minutes a day to the practice. Slowly but surely, he noticed a shift. The gnawing anxieties over minor issues began to fade. Observing rather than reacting to his thoughts gave rise to an inner calmness he'd never experienced before. And this was not just a fleeting moment of peace, but a sustained transformation in how he perceived the world around him. And I do have to admit that I also was skeptical about mindfulness, and until I started to dig deeper and understand it, and of course practice it, I held many misconceptions around what was really involved. And back in IBM, as mindfulness began changing Steve's life, colleagues started noticing his newfound calmness. Their curiosity sparked a movement. Although the corporate culture was rigid and results-driven, he pursued formal training in mindfulness at Oxford University and eventually developed a corporate mindfulness program at IBM. This program wasn't just about reducing stress, it initiated a cultural shift. Employees reported feeling more focused, less anxious, and more connected to their work and each other. They even witnessed significant health improvements, like one participant's blood pressure normalizing in just 8 weeks. This initiative proved that mindfulness could foster a healthier, more productive work environment. Do you practice mindfulness? If not, why not? Mindfulness is a powerful well-being tool and can be applied to all areas of your life. It encourages you to have a heightened awareness of the present moment, encourages you to hold a non-judgmental acceptance of your thoughts and feelings, and brings you clarity whilst reducing both stress and anxiety. Through mindful breathing and body scan exercises, mindfulness will help you to live a calmer, more centered life. But it isn't just about dedicating hours sitting in meditation. It's about incorporating it into your everyday activities. Let me share the concept that Steve likes to call mindfulness confetti. I absolutely love this phrase, and I will certainly be using it. But what does it mean? Mindfulness confetti is when you sprinkle small, mindful moments throughout your day. For instance, during a hectic commute, just taking a few seconds to feel the warmth of the sun on your skin or gaze up at the night sky. And these simple moments of sensory immersion can bring you immense peace and stillness. I mentioned right at the beginning of this episode today that I've since passed the 400-day sober milestone. So in terms of mindful drinking, This would involve the act of bringing deliberate awareness to what you're drinking, a simple reflective consideration of what you're ingesting, and perhaps applying a more mindful approach to alcohol, because in doing so, you'll forge a healthier connection to what it is you're ingesting. Choosing not to drink for me has been incredibly empowering, and I'm now living a more mindful, purposeful and fulfilling life, bringing with vitality, clarity and joy. But for you, this could also just be a brief pause to savour the aroma of your morning coffee, engaging in all the senses to appreciate the textures, flavours and aromas of what you're drinking, and being attuned to the experience without any other distractions. This small act of mindfulness can transform the entire day, providing you with a sanctuary of calm amidst the chaos. And I challenge you to begin practicing mindfulness for just 10 minutes a day, to experience for yourself the transformative power it holds. You'll find that within the stillness, there lies an extraordinary freedom and contentment, untouched by the constant rush of the world around us. You don't need to wait for special occasions to practice mindfulness. You can begin right now. Feel the seat beneath you, take a deep breath and embrace this moment. By practicing mindfulness, you anchor yourself in the present moment and avoid being overwhelmed by past regrets or future anxieties. Spend a few moments each day by yourself in a quiet space. Close your eyes and focus on your breath, noticing each inhale and exhale. Bring awareness to your body. Scan it from head to toe, releasing any tension or discomfort. Observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Acknowledge them, but don't allow them to control you. Mindfulness improves with practice and will help create a calmer, more centered way of life. What value have you gained from tuning in to Focus on Why today? What are your reflections with actions? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or via LinkedIn and share how Focus on Why has made a difference to you. Your feedback not only will inspire others, but will help them to discover how Focus on Why has created powerful ripple effects. Let's continue the conversation. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook or X, join the Focus on Why Facebook group, and sign up for my weekly newsletter, Friday Focus, to keep in touch. All the links are in the show notes. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.